everybody. Glad to see everybody here. We're getting ready to start the April City Council meeting. It's now 6:30. If we could, I'd like to ask Brent Ross to come up and help us with the invocation. Brent, he's with the Unity Community Church.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today and we're thankful that we live in a land that's free. We thank you for the opportunity to come into a place and tend to your business. And I pray that you be with our mayor and our city council and our city manager, and that you'd grant them wisdom. And Lord, we thank you for our police and fire and first responders and for their lives and what they do to protect our community. We pray your blessing upon every church in this community as we soon will celebrate the wonderful message of Easter. For we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. And if I may, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to invite anyone to come to the National Day of Prayer service on May 1st here on the city lawn. And it's a great opportunity to pray for our country.
Thank you, Brett. It's, we usually have about 80 to 100 people at that, and we'd love to have 500. I mean, National Day of Prayer, and it's a great hour. Somebody asked me a couple years ago, they said, who sets this schedule? I said, well, I help them. Who would schedule, I think that year it was 12 pastors. Who would schedule 12 pastors for an hour's meeting? I said, well, that makes sense. I get that. So now I take about 30 seconds and let them go. But anyway, it's a great hour. Appreciate the 15 pastors that's going to be there this year, and it's going to even be better than ever. Okay, if we could, Michael Madsen. Michael, come on up to the mic, please. He's going to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Michael is a VSO at the American Legion. That stands for Veteran Service Officer. And he also is deeply involved in Rally Point.
Operation Rally Point.
Sir.
If you would please join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
And Michael, I know you like to talk. Tell the folks just a real brief thing about Rally Point.
Operation Rally Point, where we have an office at 141 North Midland. It's in the same building as Potluck Cafe. And what we deal mainly with is homeless veterans. Now, what we're trying to accomplish there is there's many government programs, but unfortunately they don't kick in until about 90 to 120 days, sometimes as far as 180 days. So what we do is through generous donations and whatnot, we don't receive any federal money, but we basically put them in a group of apartments that we have, and we use extended stay hotels, and we have some contracts with larger places like Hometown Suites. We get them kind of, if you think of it this way, we try to address the top three, the suicide awareness, the mental health issue, the homeless issue, and then as the VSO, I get them on track with their VA disability so that they can gain traction and kind of get back being an active member of the community.
Very good. Thank you, Michael.
Thank
I know I put that on you at the last minute.
That's okay. It's what
Yeah, I knew it would be.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Well, if we could we have the populators come up front? This month, while they're coming up front, on April the 1st, we did a proclamation at the American Legion for Purple Up Month, which is April, and it's asking everybody to be aware, at least, to be thinking about the families of people in the military. And I learned some things I didn't know. For example, it's not unusual for a military kid to change school systems 6 to 9 times going through their school time, 12 years. That's tough on kids. If you, like I am, you got grandkids, you got kids, you got great-granddaughter and all this kind of stuff, but kids can be cruel to other kids. They really can. But tonight, we're here because we're talking about poppies. All right, proclamation. You're going to hear whereas a few times, not too much. I took some of them out. Whereas America is a land of freedom, preserved and protected willingly and freely by citizen soldiers, Whereas millions who have answered the call to arms have died on the field of battle. Whereas a nation at peace must be reminded of the price of war and the debt owed to those who have died in war. Whereas the red poppy has been designated as a symbol of sacrifice of lives in all wars. And whereas the American Legion Auxiliary has pledged to remind America annually of this debt through the distribution of the memorial flower. Therefore, I, Skip Beliles of the city of Loganville, Georgia, do hereby proclaim the 23rd day of May, 2025 as Poppy Day. And we ask that all citizens pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom by wearing the memorial poppy on that day. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal of Loganville, Georgia, this 10th day of April, 2025. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. We got a photographer in our midst too, don't we?
Thank you.
And you got a speech. I know. I said that on purpose.
I don't talk as much as Skip.
Everybody says that.
I want to take this opportunity to invite our city leaders to the American Legion on May 2nd at 6 o'clock. The national president of the American Legion Auxiliary will be visiting Georgia and having dinner here in Loganville. So we'd like all our city leaders to please come if you can. Thank you.
Very good. Now, we had another commander here not long ago. That was a national commander. Yeah, okay. Very good. Thank you guys for being here. Anybody need a poppy, just raise your hand and they'll take care of it for you. Thank you. All right, here we go. Roll call tonight. We have all council members here except for Bill Duvall. We have our financial director here. We have our replacement attorney here. Good to have you. He even leaves Paul's name in front of him. That's impressive. I know Paul. And we have our city manager here, Danny Roberts. We need a motion, please, to adopt the agenda. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted. If you'll notice on your agendas that you picked up at the door, I hope, there's a number 2 is a consent agenda. And that's the things we worked through on Monday night that everybody on the council agreed to. So no use belaboring the point. Everybody agrees, and which is the things we got to do. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Consent agenda is approved. We'll move now to Planning and Development Committee. Lisa Newberry.
Thank you, Mayor. So Monday night, we listened to 2 different developments, the Uprise Development and Manor Restoration. And Uprise Development has 4 different cases, so we'll have 4 different votes, and then we'll have the vote for Manor Restoration. So tonight, for case number A24-023, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So that is denied 5-0. Okay, Lisa.
Case number A24-015, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It is also denied 5-0.
Case number A24-027, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Denied 5-0.
Case number R24-024, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Denied 5-0. Okay.
Okay, then we'll move over to the Manor Restoration for case number R25-001. I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that is denied 3-2. Okay?
And that is all we have for planning and development.
It was 3-2, Ann and Brandon. Okay, then we'll move right on in Finance, Human Resources, Ann Hunsinger. Okay? We took yours in the consent agenda, huh? Okay. Public Safety Committee, that will be Melanie Long.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any actionable items. I do want to recognize our Fire Sergeant Kevin Rickman. I asked him if he could be here tonight so we could thank him in person and acknowledge him, but he's on duty. He was selected by his fellow firemen as Fireman of the Year for 2024, and I think that's a huge accomplishment, and I just want to thank him for his service to our city. And that is all I
Absolutely.
have.
An award that's awarded by your peers is something
It's a-
really
Yes,
special.
exactly.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Melanie. Public Utilities Transportation, Danny Roberts in place of Bill Duvall.
Our items were covered under consent, but just to give you an update from the Covington Street retention pond, staff and myself and Ms. Long met with Jimmy Parker, the engineer, and I think we answered all the questions that were raised about the pond. Just to give you an update, there are no trees inside the pond. It is grass seeded. The issue with the drain, it's going to have a box. It drains into a box and then it goes on another road, so there's no going uphill. We talked about that. The only concern, I think that was a valid concern that Melanie brought up, was the wall. It's going to be, from the road to the wall, it's going to be graded pretty flat. It'll have some slope to catch the rainwater, but talk about putting a fence, guardrail, I don't think it needs a guardrail, but maybe some type of knee-high fence just to keep pedestrians from walking, just if they, some reason, want to look over the wall and don't fall. But not to say that a fence will stop them, but I don't think it needs a chain link fence. I think that takes away from the area. But I was thinking of something like a post with the two slats, like old school kind of. Maybe we could use the lumber from the trees that we had milled. So I think the mayor and I talked about that today, and I think we could just taper it out on the ends where the wall ends. I think that'd give it a nice touch, let the wood kind of go its own color, maybe put some stain if we have to, just to protect it. So I think that's something staff can do after the project gets done. The issue, also, the mayor and I spoke today about maybe putting some sod from the road, maybe 5-6 feet on the, just a nice uphill instead of seed. But we got to give that chance for that seed to take off. But more than likely, if we had to put sod, it would just be when the 5-foot perimeters from the road to the wall, and then on Covington Street side. So that's something that staff can handle, or either we'll bid out a local contractor. We definitely don't want the pipeline contractor putting that in. We'll do that after it's completely done, and it's something staff can probably do in-house. But that was a concern because it is, what do you say, 9-foot drop? I think he said from the highest point was 9 foot.
Yeah, at the very minimum, it'll be like 9.
Yeah, and it tapers off
Yeah.
on both sides. There was another issue that did get brought up while I was on site. There is a large boulder. We don't know if it's bedrock or if it's just a boulder. So in one spot, there could be an issue with a 4-to-1 slope, or they'll have to blast it out. But if they do, that's another change order. We may just leave it. So, but the rest of the area, it is deeper than it's normal, than it should be. That's because they were getting the dirt out for this capacity, but they will regrade it to a 4-to-1 slope. So that was the update from, was that yesterday? Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember. All these days run together. Anyway, we met with them, so that was the issue on that slope. You have any further questions?
There won't be a change order on the additional digging or whatever they've got to do. Did we cover that on Monday?
Yeah, we told them we would really not like to see no more change orders. Brandon actually emailed them that, but there could be a potential with that if it's a bedrock. If it's a bedrock, it can't be moved by machinery, but if we hope it's just a boulder that can be moved, but they're still working on that, but it's just pretty wet over there.
Okay.
And then I walked off, I went back to work, and when I left, we were talking about the street, and I know you said that the gentleman doing the work will repair any damage, but I heard you and Jimmy also saying that Jimmy also agreed that the streets do need to be resurfaced or paved from Pecan to Covington, and then from Covington up to Lucy or something.
Yeah, any damage the contractor caused, they do have to repair. And in this change order, there was a small section of paving, but that's, if their dump trucks did cause some issues, then they will certainly have to repair that. There'll be a punch list with all projects that
Okay.
we'll walk, the contractor will walk with the project manager, which is Precision. Every week they're on site, Precision is, they send us field reports if there's an issue. So that was the other gentleman that was with Jimmy.
Okay.
He's I think the main guy that designed it, so. But yes, there will be a punch list at the end of this project.
Did you mention to me there might be some sod on the Bobby Boss side? between
Yes,
the road
from the
and
road to the wall, there will be we'll try to put some sod there as well. We talked about trees, of course, but I prefer no trees there because may affect that wall, but,
That's a concern.
yep. And then Mayor asked about some trees inside the pond, but we said we couldn't do that because that's not allowed. So, and it's made to drain, always, so,
I would say to save money on the sod, on the Bobby Boss side, being that I live right across the street. People constantly drive through my yard, so
Yeah.
my yard is trenched. I wouldn't really want to waste money
Okay.
on sod. So I
yeah, we'll
don't know
let
if
them
there's some
seed
other
the straw and
surface,
see what it
something
takes.
we can do.
And if nothing takes, then maybe we'll have to look at that, but that's
Okay.
something we'll handle afterwards.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with people walking on Bobby Boss and have somewhere to step off the road.
Well, I'm worried about the kids wanting to play on that wall and somebody falling down 9 or 10 feet. That's what I'm concerned
that
about. Or a
fence will-
car driving off.
Hopefully that fence will
into
help
that,
us.
hopefully. But I do want something. I do think it needs to be decorative. It doesn't need to be security. It's just decorative, just
It's
to
gonna-
keep them away.
It's gonna be like Yellowstone,
Whatever, I don't know what
the
that is. but
Wild
okay.
West,
Okay,
coming again.
okay.
Okay, anything else, Danny?
Not under that, I don't know.
Okay,
Uh-oh, not under that.
yeah, that's
Well, I
midnight
get to
coming.
city man,
I heard it.
That's midnight coming. Public Works Facilities Committee, Patty Wolf.
Oh, that's me. I got
Yes, ma'am.
something tonight. I just got handed two things. I wasn't planning on speaking, but hey, dump day this Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon at the Public Utilities Building, 4891 Highway 81. I'm not real sure where that is. Is it pretty easy to find? Okay, they're telling me yes.
It's well marked as you're going out 81 toward Bethlehem.
Okay.
It's right past that subdivision on that
There'll
corner.
probably be some activity too going on, so
Well,
it'll be.
it will be,
easy to
but you won't
spot.
see it from the road. You'll look for signs.
it's
You have to
off
go
road.
into the
Okay.
facility and
Okay.
probably 3/4 of a mile away.
Okay. Things such that you can come to dump are old furniture, appliances, building materials, tires, paint, any type of chemical.
No tires, no paint.
Oh. Hold on, that's on my list.
That's okay.
Thank you, Ann. No tires, no paint, y'all. What about chemicals? No? Oh, I didn't finish reading or hazardous materials will not be accepted. Got ahead of myself. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't confuse y'all. I pretty much stay that way. Will be required to show proof. You have to show proof that you're a Loganville resident. And that's pretty much it with that, unless y'all want to add something.
So this
No
is
businesses.
for the citizens that live in the city limits of Loganville,
Okay.
not businesses or corporations.
The
Has to
good
be-
part of it is, if you get it on your truck or you get it in a trailer, you drive it over there, the city employees will take it off and dump it for you, so you don't even have to get out of your car.
That's nice.
That helps.
It's very nice. And then April 26th, from 9 to 11, there is a document destruction. It's going to be at City Hall, so that'll be easy. So those of you who want to hide documents from your wife or the government or, your CPA, here's your chance. April 26th. And that's it, I think, unless somebody wants to add to that.
I believe that's going to be in the rear parking lot of City Hall.
Okay. Thank you, Danny.
And I think that's provided by, if I remember right, the county, the Lions Club, and the city. Isn't that right?
Yes, we just provide the facility and the restrooms, and I believe,
Also, citizens only, by the way, no businesses on this one either.
yes, it's resident, I mean,
Okay.
not, you want to be a resident of the city limits, but yeah, just, I believe did they say 2 boxes, limit 2 boxes?
No.
Okay, I know they did one year because they're,
They did last year.
yeah, usually they ask us 2 boxes.
Okay, anything else, Patty?
That's it. Thank you,
Okay,
Skip.
very good. Economic Development Committee, Brandon Whitfield.
Thank you, Skip. I do have something on my agenda tonight. We touched on
Too
it
bad.
Monday. Sorry, I thought you'd ask me something, Ann. No, I had to get my pen back. Oh, way to go. You got
I
your
was
pen
gonna
back.
keep it, but apparently not.
So we had to talk about sidewalks. It seems like everybody who comes and talks to us recently talks about sidewalks in downtown. We're also talking about our businesses in downtown. So I made a map and I put the potential start point and end point. And it's not like a 1A, 1B. I intentionally put start point at the center of downtown at the well. That's been historically the center of Main Street and Line Street, because we know we have a lot of curb and gutter that's needed in between those two areas, and sidewalks and curb and gutter go hand in hand. So I put that as the start point because it makes more sense to me to start from our existing sidewalk network and branch off of it versus starting off on Line Street and working in, because putting sidewalks to nowhere don't really do anybody any good. So if we work on network and work it out, spider it out. So you can see on the second page, can you go to the second page on the document, please? You can see all the blue is where our existing sidewalks are, and the rectangles are the crosswalks. And that red star is just right there in the middle of our town green. And you see there's a big hole over there, mainly on the Covington Street and C.S. Floyd, because there's very few sidewalks on C.S. Floyd as well. So the next page, I made two different kind of appeals here. The first one is the more block system style, where we could go block by block until we reach our end goal. For example, to make this into like a more of a block, we could put one down Covington Street, a sidewalk, and one down C.S. Floyd to meet up to where the toddler park is. Because we do have sidewalk going around the green and right there at toddler park. So it's not a lot to bite off, but it is something, like, I don't want to say which side of Covington Street, because an engineer could come in and say, well, I wouldn't put it on the left side, it's going to cost you more money. The right side is flatter, the grade goes better. Either side doesn't matter to me, as long as we have one sidewalk per road, I think that's good for now. Yes, the dream would be to have sidewalks everywhere downtown. I think we all know we have to be fiscally responsible with the money, and I think this is the way to get it done, is at least get one. And the crosswalks, we're talking paint, so that's something that I believe city staff could go out and just paint. For example, right there at the end of Broad Street, I have that green block right there. That could be paint. And then even up there on Main Street, in between the town green and where Terra Argo's businesses are, we don't have a sidewalk right, or we don't have a crosswalk right there. So that could be something that's easily paintable. And there's a few of those in downtown I marked on the next page. But that would be one way to get it done, is go block by block, working our way down. I would say the next block would probably be going down C.S. Floyd more to Fair Street. If you want to go to the next page, this would be option 2. If you want to look at it as getting point A to point B, this is the quickest way there. We can connect to the sidewalk right there at C.S. Floyd and the park and going straight down. Now, we could have an engineer come back and tell us that's too much drainage or something like that. I don't know. And the same principle applies either side of the street, whichever side is most economical to put it on, stuff like that. But you can see I have other green areas at the bottom of this one as well, because I do think we just need to go ahead and paint any crosswalks that we have in downtown. Go ahead and get those painted, because we're missing one right there at the end of Pecan Street as well. And I'm hopeful not very hopeful, because we'd have to contact GDOT about this one. That little alleyway that goes next to Flex, or Everybody's Nutrition, and the church right there, there's that alleyway, getting a crosswalk more on that end of Main Street, just so people don't have to walk all the way down to the town green to cross the street safely. That might be a pipe dream, but then again, it was just something I thought I'd put on there since we were talking about crosswalks as well. As you can see on the second one, you can see over on Fair Street where the blue goes up a little bit beside the church. That'd be like the start point for like maybe phase 2. And I'm not saying this all has to be done at once or all be done in this year or this budget. Are all out of reserves, are all paid for by grants? We could definitely look into grants, stuff like that. I know we kind of went down a rabbit hole Monday, so that's why I wanted to kind of put pen to paper. I actually did walk a lot of these streets. Can you go to the map, please, Mike? My phone wouldn't, since it's an Apple product and the city uses Android, my pictures didn't want to show up very well. But me and my daughter did walk all of downtown Loganville today. It wasn't the safest. I made sure she was on the left side of me. So I was going to be hit first before she would be. I do walk Main Street at least 3 or 4 times a week. From my business, I go across the street to get a drink, go talk to people across, and then I'll usually, I have an 85-year-old back apparently, so I go to the chiropractor back there on Camp Street. So I do walk over there. So I do walk it a good bit. So you can see where our sidewalk in this picture, there you go, right there. You see it on the ground, the tactile strip right there? That's a perfect place for a crosswalk to go right there across the street, because you have to go to a landing. So say you go over there to Covington Street where there's no sidewalks, no nothing. Either side of the road, they say the right side of the road is better. You do a crosswalk there with a landing and do a crosswalk over to the other side, and then go down the other side. You want to go to the next picture for me, please? Or oh, sorry, I don't have pictures. Just going down the street. There you go, keep going. There you go, you got hang a Louis here, to hang a left. There you go. And right there. So you see we can connect to the existing sidewalk there. We would have to do like a landing spot right there. So when the park gets done or anytime, we can just put a landing there and put a crosswalk right there. Trying to be as economical as possible. And say we can only do the C.S. Floyd strip for right now. I still think just doing something will benefit us in the long term, because prices are just going to always go up. Like we always say, if we wait to do it 10 years from now, the price is going to be a lot more. I know there's probably questions. I know I've asked Danny a bazillion of them to see if I can answer any the best that I can. I do know, and they need to be 5 feet sidewalks. They got to be ADA accessible. And in downtown, there's no beauty strip, so we can just use the right-of-way. And that's what engineers would tell us as well, is like, how much right-of-way do we have? So this street, we might not have enough right-of-way to do 5-foot sidewalks, but across the street, we would, kind of deal. But we don't have to do a beauty strip, so we can go right up to the side of the street or do some kind of curbing. There's other areas downtown that we could talk about, but I do think this would be the natural starting point, because if we're going to try to work our way to Line Street, this area connects more to the middle of C.S. Floyd. It lengthens C.S. Floyd, so then that gives us multiple options to get to Line Street, whether that be Rock Road, not Lucy Street, Pecan Street. I would say probably Loganville Drive might be a pipe dream because we're too close to GDOT's road over there to get too much approved. But yeah, that was my thoughts on it. Wanted to hear what the council had to say.
Is there any way, Brandon, I noticed this worksheet that Danny gave us, it has a cost as you come out. Is there any way to kind of cost it out based on what?
$193, 165 to 177 a foot.
Okay. So-
Yes, and
So
that'd
we
be
can look
for
on this
curb,
sheet
gutter,
and see how many
sidewalk.
feet, right? I think we can.
We can estimate it, but at the same time, if the engineer comes in and says, we gotta move a pipe, or we gotta replace a drag, I don't wanna promise like, yes, but let's give X amount number for this, even with a 10% contingency. I would rather have an engineer or somebody go and just give us a more reasonable ballpark without us just guessing. I don't think we need to have a study done or anything like that. I think it's pretty obvious. From Line Street to Main Street is the densest half of Main Street. So we have the most people on that side that potentially would want to walk to the businesses and town green and churches downtown versus the other side. So I think that was the first thing I looked at. But I'm not a hydrologist, I'm not an engineer, I can't tell you, what might
Right.
it costs, but I do know the rough estimate of what was it, 165 to 170-ish per linear foot for curb, gutter, sidewalk.
I was trying to match up some of these streets to this paper that Danny gave us the other night. So the one that goes from Pecan, on the Pecan Street, from Line Street to Cross Street, and these numbers are at 127, because is this paper you gave us the other night, this is old, right? These are old numbers. Okay, so just that one little section, whenever this was written, was $535,000 back then. I was trying to match up some of these, there's one of these other little sections was about 300,000. So I mean, I didn't. You gave me one Monday night that has costs on it. Okay, well, I don't
No,
have
think
that
I
one.
got that one either, actually.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
It's also 4 foot wide versus 3.
Oh, so these are even 4 foot, so this
Yeah,
would be
these
even
are
more
for 4
expensive.
foot, yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's up to council to decide if we want to commit any
Well-
more thought into adding sidewalks downtown. I know it comes up a lot. I know it's an issue. I know it's hard to walk in downtown because I do it a lot. It's not safe. And if we just keep kicking the can down the road, it will be even more expensive to get done.
No doubt. Danny, do we have to have curb and gutter? So everywhere we go, we have to have curb and gutter.
Well, I mean,
That adds to the cost.
step one is you're talking about getting the engineer to do the thing. What is the cost of that? I mean, what would it cost to have an engineer to do the whatever he has to do to get the cost?
Sort of what I told Brandon is I just need a direction from y'all. What do you want to spend? What would you like to spend? And then I can go from
If
there.
it's that, we're gonna say, we wanna spend $0 and have sidewalks.
Well, I can give you 0 sidewalks then.
I mean, we got a lot of irons in the fire right now.
And I know I'd mentioned to you that it seems like I remember on social media or somewhere that the city of Monroe did a fantastic job of getting a lot of grant money to pay for a lot of their sidewalks and really cool things they did downtown. Did you have a chance to reach out to them?
I've talked to Sadie about it in the past. She's not there anymore now. She's with GMA. I usually talk to her every year at convention, and she's part of the Georgia Downtown Association as well. So she's a heavy proponent of sidewalks. And I believe the city did commit some of the funds. They didn't pay all of it out of.
I don't know if they got a lot.
Grant.
They might have got like
They
a
got a little, but
CDBG grant. But as far as a grant
we're
for
not-
sidewalks, there's not a lot of grants out there that many people think they are. There's a lot for nonprofits.
But
I'm
have we
all
looked into
for-
that at all? I mean, I
Well, I
think that should be
mean-
the very first thing we should do is exhaust that.
Well, I would reach out too. I mean, I'm just thinking off the cuff here. Adopt a sidewalk. Businesses, local businesses sponsor so many feet of sidewalk. I mean, there's programs and things, but you'd have to start, council doesn't have time for that, our city staff doesn't have time for that. Again, I'm gonna refer that over to the DDA. They don't have anything going right now. They could be working on sidewalks if that's what the economic development chairman would like to see happen.
There
I
was-
don't see we having the money to do
There was
it.
a problem, Melanie, with Adopt a Highway. I would think possibly the sidewalks might
I agree.
come out that same way, and it got touchy, was it in Monroe or wherever it was, anyway? You accept one group, one business, then another business comes in, and it can get kind of messy.
I agree. I'm just looking at a way to make it, if it's something you want to do right now, I need to show me how you're going to pay for it,
I'm
where I'm
not saying
at.
it has to be done right now. I mean,
Like LMIG, we
Yeah.
have LMIG money that can be used for sidewalks.
I would
The
tell you-
council chooses to use it for street repair. That's all I'm saying. Y'all can say, hey, Danny, let's use it for both, or let's not. That's, I
I
just
think
need
streets
direction.
are much more important than sidewalks, right there at this point.
As Danny has told me many times when he really wants to make me mad, we just kicking the can down the road. And I hate that phrase. We're not here to kick the can down the road. We're here to get stuff done. I would like for the council to think about some money from the reserves. Now, I know we always talk about the reserves, and we have to be really careful, to at least get started and see what can be done. I think when Danny and I talked, you were thinking $250,000. Would give us something to start on. We could be doing grants in the meantime, whatever ways we wanted to try to raise money and then add to it on the next budget. But I just hate talking and not doing anything. So that's my
we know
thought.
it's a problem. People always say it. We need curb and gutter. We need sidewalks in downtown. If we want to have a economically viable downtown, to have a walkable city, live, work, play, sidewalks are a must. It's one of the components for a downtown to survive.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did you say that you thought that you said the average, if we were looking at averages per foot, I know that we can't say that but you said 150 to 170.
Is
A foot?
165, 173-ish?
Seven.
Okay, so here's, I'm just trying to math it. You know me mathing it. The email you sent said that with the increase from 2019, you thought it would be $28 million-ish to do that. Here's what I'm trying to understand. If it's 28 million to do it, estimating, I'm doing really rough numbers, right? And let's say it's $200 a foot. That means we have 140,000 feet of sidewalk. Divided by 5,280 is 26 and a half miles of sidewalk. How do we have that much sidewalk downtown? Like, one of the numbers, inputs, doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't run those numbers. I'm just trying to.
Like, my question is, are we overestimating it? And so like the hit's not gonna be nearly so bad? Or is $200 a foot way too low?
That's square feet. So on the thing,
It's
there's
square feet, not linear.
86,594
Linear feet.
square feet.
It is square.
Not
Yeah.
linear feet,
Yeah.
square feet?
Not linear.
Okay.
So like, give me what was the road you were talking about? So from Logan Drive to Pecan Street is 3,212 linear feet. That would be $529,000 at 165. The square
So
foot.
it's square feet, not
I was
linear.
thinking, corner of Pecan Street to Covington Street. Right there in front of the old house, just extend it down CS Floyd. From the park, the corner of the park to the corner of Covington Street,
Along CS Floyd?
along CS Floyd.
Yeah, so how much would the option one be? Like, how many feet is that system number one that you're talking about? Do you
I
know?
don't know, that's why I didn't want to get all in the weeds on it if we weren't going to.
Well, but we
Consider
can't
this.
get in the weeds or not in the weeds if we don't have a budget. I mean, if it's $20 million to do that square, I'm out. It's way too much money, you know?
Well, that's when we'd have
If
to have
you-
an engineer to go do, and I don't wanna, we'd have to allow the engineer to go out and tell us the real number. I don't wanna throw around false numbers, and then I say, Okay, just for CS Floyd right here, it'd be $250,000, and it comes back at $500,000.
So from Broad Street on Covington Street to CS Floyd, that was estimated at $379,000 at $165 a square foot.
So only from Broad Street,
From the AT&T building backside of Town Green
Right.
on Covington to CS Floyd is 460 feet. You multiply that times 5, that gives you 2,300 square feet. At $165 a square foot is, call it 380,000.
and that doesn't count making the left on CS Floyd back to
No.
Pecan?
It's just for that one
It's
strip?
just this, just the one strip on system number
Wow,
one.
okay.
Okay. How many feet do you know, Danny, from Covington to Pecan on CS Floyd?
Yeah, that's what I was asking, to the corner of the park.
Or do you have an estimate on that?
I will in just a second. Let me get my trusty
Calculator?
Galaxy phone.
Galaxy.
So you want to go from Covington Street at CS Floyd to where?
Well, like, if we went,
To the
if we
park?
made.
To the park.
This system one is what I'm looking at. So you said from Broad Street by the AT&T building back to CS Floyd, that was 379 grand. And then go Covington to connect back into the sidewalk by the toddler park on Pecan. Or Pecan.
$641,850 from
641?
Town Green down Covington, take a left
No,
to.
we're talking about just that one strip, this one line right here.
Oh. 262,000.
So 640 grand for the whole, for the L.
Yep, give or take, depending on what.
They run into.
And y'all, these are just numbers he literally told me on the phone with 5 minutes of discussion, so it's just, when we get on site, it could be different, or it could be less.
Yeah,
The
'cause
biggest cost is gonna be the drainage. But you gotta, like I told Brandon, you gotta start somewhere. If you start there, you got a drain currently at Town Green that drains back towards the retention pond. That's the issue.
And how long a project is that?
6 months, maybe?
The whole L would be 6 months-ish?
Probably, maybe less, depending on the weather.
Well, even if we don't want to do the whole L, I'd advise just doing the CS Floyd for now. Because you can
300
still,
and something.
because you can still go down by the park right there, so you can still have a way to get down there. If we just want to do it road by road like that, it's still a start. And then maybe next year, or next time Elmay comes up, we can then go for the Covington Street connection. Or we could vote at that time to go further down CS Floyd and just connect all of CS Floyd to the Pecan Street, to Toddler Park. So they'd have to go all the way down the street to turn down Pecan Street. But it's one of the things, we gotta get started somewhere, like Danny just said.
Danny, once upon a time, some years back, you might not have even been here, I heard a rumor that somebody had talked to GDOT about doing a one-way on
One-way
Main
pairs.
and coming the other way on CS Floyd. Did that actually happen?
We got turned down we requested not to do a one-way pairing back in 2015, 16. Mayor Curry, I believe, was the mayor then.
And you requested not to do it? Or GDOT did?
The city did a letter of not for the
Not to
businesses.
do.
I don't know if that had any leeway, but they asked us our opinion.
That's an old concept.
Yep, it was very old.
Lawrenceville is now changing theirs back
Yeah.
to go away from that. And in exchange for that, they told us, when they extend 20 coming out of Grayson, that instead of stopping at Main Street, which drives me crazy they ever said that they would go all the way to 78, which is the way it should be. So that's where we stand whenever we get to that.
I
Brandon?
just think those 18-wheelers are so, they're almost right at the sidewalk on Main, where, the businesses are on Main. I would like to concentrate on that, but I just don't know what we can do. I just think that's so dangerous. I don't believe I'd walk a child down that sidewalk.
Well, there is plans to move the truck route, but
Yeah, who?
it's gotta, yeah.
Long time on.
They're not gonna take us seriously until their trucks can't even go down that road anymore. So more businesses and stuff like that.
I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think they're gonna take us seriously until, one, we make more investments in downtown, and then also when more businesses open up and survive downtown and actually pack the street. So
That makes
then they
sense.
can actually see the danger and be like, yeah, y'all were finally right. We shouldn't have all these kids right up next to 18-wheelers
Right.
and stuff like
That
that.
just scares me to think about it. Why don't we focus on getting more businesses? And then
Are we talking
focus
about
on
sidewalks or
I mean,
businesses
it's like,
now?
which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of concept?
I don't want to go into great depth on this, but when I go and recruit businesses, one of the first thing they ask me is how many people live in the downtown sector? How many people would visit them during the daytime hours? How many people are in the square mile? And really in a downtown, it's the half-mile radius is the walkable distance, really the quarter mile. And there's just not a lot there, so they get to know that they're going to survive on weekend business alone, which is very, very hard to do.
Yes, yes.
I will say with T&B coming, they're probably going to do good because people around here love Mexican food and beer. And to be honest, they got one heck of a rate on their building to entice them to come downtown. And they know I talked to an Italian place, a pizza place, I had a franchisee ready to go into that building. The CEO of Amici's drove down Loganville at 6:30 and said, nope, we're not gonna come here, it's too dead. So a lot of people were afraid to be the first one to jump off the diving board.
Yeah.
Now that they're there, it might help a good bit, but they still want people to be able to walk up to their businesses. They want to see a usable downtown. And right now, you're pretty much landlocked. Even people that live on Line Street aren't gonna walk to Main Street. Even people probably on the side roads going to Line Street aren't gonna walk to Main Street. They don't have an incentive to, it's not safe, which means even more cars parked in downtown.
Okay,
So
you-
should we focus on housing downtown first?
On to a whole economic summit tonight. So, yes, we do need to increase some in downtown. It doesn't have to be apartments, it doesn't have to be townhomes, but we do have to have housing in downtown. I don't care, that's why I'm excited about this reason, or this moratorium that we have in place, because then that can, hopefully our ducks will align better, to get more creative with living solutions in downtown, whether that be small suites with ADUs, accessory dwelling units, or it could be from, it's like what I pitched a year and a half ago, those cottages, when I had that economic development, when I went over there and talked to the mic and showed examples. But they would obviously be on smaller lots and have a courtyard type thing, or even courtyard homes are a big thing right now, where you have 5 or 6 in a courtyard and they share a yard, stuff like that in the back. It's big for communities. They all got to be front facing, so their sidewalks or go right past their house, so they can walk right out their front door and walk to businesses downtown. So yes, it is a component, but no, it doesn't have to be. I don't want to quote this because I don't have it off the top of my head, but when Haddow came, it was 200 living units to support, I can't remember, it was X number of square feet of retail. So that does play into this. I know it is what it is. If we want downtown to survive, I'm not saying we have to go up a lot, but at least to get businesses to thrive downtown and actually not turn
Want to
over
come downtown.
all the time and want to come downtown,
Right.
they do look at that.
Well, I just get confused on which should come first, and I think we just kind of are spinning our wheels and we go from one thing. Oh, one thing to another thing, and the citizens are going, y'all are idiots, basically is what they're saying. But I think we need a plan, an overall plan, and then zero in on what should come first. But I think we need an expert to come work with us on that. And then it may be the zoning. When we do the zoning, they may work with us on that. I think I would like to, let's just do the zoning, and then, you know, the sidewalk issue will be there. It's not going anywhere.
It never has.
But I just think where are you walking to on those sidewalks? Because people aren't even coming downtown at night, so
There's nothing to come downtown for.
I know.
Right,
So
exactly.
why do
And-
you need a
And my
sidewalk?
thing, Brandon, I applaud you, thank you for putting the work in. You hear people want sidewalks, I hear people want potholes fixed.
Well,
What'd
they
you say?
do,
You hear
yeah.
people what? They want what?
Potholes fixed.
Don't we get those fixed as soon as they get reported? Don't we send our crew out there to get them fixed?
Yeah, but I'm saying we'd have to take money away from fixing roads to pay for sidewalks.
We had the discussion. If we don't want to increase sidewalks, I get it. It's a lot of money.
And I also want to say that, yeah, I don't think that we should take money out of reserves to pay for sidewalks, because I don't think that's what the spirit of reserves for is to, I think that's for catastrophic events that we may need down the road. And also, I feel like we're piecemealing our Main Street, and we don't have a solid plan. Like, what we talked about was the library, the retention pond, then the new town green, and now we've got sidewalks, and I don't feel like we have a plan to put all that in order and make it happen.
It's in the Sizemore plan. We did have them come and help us out with that. But it does need to be adjusted probably. It's been a while. Yeah, sorry, Ann.
I know, it's fine. I agree with the walkable downtown. I think you and I are very similar in our vision and kind of what we want it to be downtown. But I think it's time to realize that it's not going to happen because we can't come together as a council. You just said that the sidewalks in the Haddow report, which was now, what, 4.5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
That we needed 200 residents, et cetera, 200,
I don't know
right?
what it is now.
Well,
yeah.
right, but we just turned down a townhome development that was
44?
beautiful. I mean, the PUV one I was out on, but
Yeah, me too.
this one died, and it would have been the people that would have used the sidewalks. And this sidewalk that you have even on number 1 is almost all businesses. So I want sidewalks, but we just did a moratorium. We can't get any new housing because it gets voted down. Why would we spend 650 grand to have a sidewalk to nowhere when it's not going to fix it? I mean, I hear you, I feel the pain, right? But it's not going to happen. And it makes me sad, but,
I'm just glad that we talked about it so we can say we had the discussion.
right.
And so when people ask me, why don't we
You
have
brought it up.
sidewalks?
You brought it
I
up?
brought it up. I did the best I could. And we do know like how much they do cost now.
Right.
We know kind of potentially where a good starting point would be. And 2 different ways to kind of get it down. We could go grid system, or we could go, C.S. Floyd, Line Street, and just one road going, or one sidewalk connecting them all.
Yeah, I mean, like down to where the townhomes are that they're building online. I mean, even that street would make more sense because those people could walk down, but I
That'd be a
mean,
lot of, yeah, I
honestly-
didn't think there's no way that we would ever be able to
Right.
afford that.
but honestly, like just from a layman, just sitting back as a citizen of this country, to see that L shape costs $650,000 for a sidewalk makes me want to vomit.
Yeah.
I mean, like seriously, how can it be that expensive?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I
not
know.
us. I mean, it's not, we're
Yeah, it's
not,
not us that,
it's awful. So,
no, I get it.
And
glad
remember,
we
we have
discussed
the
it.
5 million coming up with GDOT and all that stuff down on 20.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot right there.
It
There
is.
just seems to be a lot of stuff, good stuff.
My
good
thing is
stuff.
I like building for people and not cars, especially in downtown. And anytime we do more road work and stuff, I get it. People always complain about traffic. But you build on the human scale, which is walkability. and sidewalks play a part in it. I do know this is expensive. To say we do apply for some grants and get some grants for it, then it sounds like we're all on
That'd be
board.
different, yeah.
Even if it's just for the CS Floyd or just Covington Street or whatever we can get it for, we're on board with it. I do know there are some grants, like the community, I can't remember what it is.
Dana, are y'all
But-
using that grant lady that came to talk to y'all? Oh, okay.
So I guess since you brought that up, yeah, so she is, and Danny and her have talked.
Oh, okay. I was impressed with, I thought she seemed to really know her stuff.
So that was something like, I didn't want to let it rot on the vine if, you know, it was taking too long. But at the same time, I didn't want to bring it up until there was something to actually bring up about it, because I would hate to like call her out and like you just said, she's awesome, but then we might not hire her.
Right.
So that's why I was gonna try and wait until we had more of a firm thing, because, you know, I don't know the whole pricing and everything too.
And I don't know, can you get a grant before you have some pretty concrete ideas? I don't know how grants work. I mean,
She would do all the research and go out there and find the grants and do all the due diligence and write the entire grant for us.
but would we have to have plans attached of what we're gonna be doing with that money?
You
I
have to
don't-
have, depending on the grant, you
Depending
gotta
on the
have
grant.
council's approval if it's a match to apply
Okay.
for it, because a lot of grants, like
Okay.
LMIG has a 30% match.
Okay.
That's why y'all have to approve those.
And then she would also have to work with city staff, because we have all the data.
Yeah.
We have all the stuff that she would need, because they'd have to use our comprehensive plan and stuff like that as well. So, but it sounds
Well,
like
she's
that's
out there.
it
We
for
know she's
sidewalks.
there.
We don't need to take up more time. No, it's
Yeah.
good. I get it.
Okay, any motions? None?
Motion we
Okay.
close this meeting.
Well,
Not
just
yet.
asking. 'Cause what I hear is, I hear a can going down the road that we just kicked. But anyway, that's life. Is that it, Brandon?
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Danny Roberts, City Manager's Report.
I didn't say it this time, though.
No, you didn't.
The only thing I was gonna tell y'all, the library folks, construction plan to start Monday. I don't know what that entails, but they'll be on site Monday. They started putting silk fence up. So if you see a lot of action, that's what they are. So just wanna let you know. I believe they got a groundbreaking ceremony
Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Wednesday at 2 o'clock. I believe y'all have all got the email. That's all I have.
May I ask a question? Thank you. I just got a treat from that. May I ask a question as to, Donnie, that was it. When are they gonna pay their 50%? Something goes against my nature for them to come in and break ground and not having paid what they owe the city.
Owe the city for what?
The what?
What do they owe the city for?
Half of the detention pond.
We already took that money out of ARPA.
You already
So-
took it out of ARPA?
So their 1.5 million that the council assigned, every time we make a payment to the land, the contractor, or engineering, their half comes out of it.
May I get a copy, not right this
Sure.
minute, but, okay, of where we stand on
I
that?
think
So
it's, you looked
they
at
don't.
today, it's what, 1
I
point?
didn't even know we were doing that.
We're not like changing hands with money. It's just deducting
No,
off of
I
our
believe it goes
pledge.
around 1 point, how much? Maybe 1.14, somewhere around there, what's left?
Did you deduct, because we gave them now more, we bought the land on Covington Street, but you also gave them the land on Pecan Street, which the city paid $150,000 for that. Have you deducted that money?
No,
Why?
because that's y'all's job, not mine.
That's ours.
Right.
Yeah, that's our land.
So what is our job? other
But we
than
were gonna
pushing-
use it for something other than a detention pond, and now that we're using it for a detention pond, the library should have to reimburse the city for part of
That's
that
not what
land.
we agreed.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all tell me, sure, but I haven't been given direction to deduct money for land that we bought 10 years ago.
Right.
That's why I haven't done it. But when we bought that land, it was agreed that 50% would come from the library,
Right.
and that's all.
Well, the
I can only
cost
do
of
what
the
y'all tell me.
detention pond was supposed to, the entire cost of the detention pond, 50%. So when we put up a fence along the street and whatever we do, if we put sod or whatever, the library should have to pay for that, but we're also giving
I
them.
would
a
disagree
very-
on that because that's something y'all want. But far as the pond, what y'all bid on, what y'all approved, I can only pay what y'all approve in these minutes. So, now if y'all tell me that, then yes, we would. But so far, the labor, the engineering, the land cost, all that is being deducted at 50%. So that's why you see two different line items. If you look at items 2F, you see two different line items, 371-65. 65 is a library code. The 541300 was buildings. That's coming from their ARPA, that 1.5. Then you see 375, 4320. 4320 is a stormwater department for the city of Loganville. That comes from capital recovery fee. So that's why you always see these two fees for anything to do with the library as far as the retention pond.
Now, are you getting the definition of what's going to go in that figure from the IGA? Because I don't recall voting individually on the detention pond, this and that and the other. Is that coming from the IGA?
Yeah, the IGA says 50% of the pond.
Right.
Yes.
So when you say we voted on we didn't vote on grass, or we didn't vote on this, that, what we're going to go by is the IGA?
Yes.
Whatever it says?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's
So-
what the council voted on, not Danny or Natalie. That's the council.
Exactly.
Make
I'm
sure I'm
just
clear on that.
curious. I'm just curious because we had legal representation on that as to why that wasn't spelled out for us.
What-
I didn't know at the
hearing
time
that.
we were writing the IGA that we were gonna give them a whole nother piece of land that the taxpayers paid $150,000 for. I
Yeah.
wasn't aware that we were
I
giving them
think
that.
we should have been given great detail, and then the vote would have been a little more accurate, my personal opinion. But we were not. The IGA.
I guess I'm
was given
confused on
to us.
what were you referring to? Great detail on what?
On the detention pond, what's going to count, what's not going to count, what they pay 50% on, what they're not going to pay 50% on. I'm just hearing some things that I've not heard before. And I think that's why we have legal representation. I think that should have been detailed out, and then we vote, and our vote's far more accurate.
Thought it was pretty clear in the IGA. It says 50% of retention pond cost comes from their portion.
But the land that,
The land was already purchased and,
down to Pecan Street, the land
Yes.
Melanie's talking about.
yes, that was already purchased. It was
Sod, you
already,
said that's not there, the sod, just little things coming up.
yeah, because
I
sod's not part of the contract.
know, but that, I think we should have known what was gonna be, I mean,
Well, I didn't know
detail.
that the city council was going to request sod when this happened. We went out to bid with a
Yeah,
plan, so
But we
that's,
can't change it anyway, I'm just saying, I feel a little, I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, we have a contract, we have the IGA, it says 50%. But it's kind of like saying you're going to pay 50% of a wedding and then somebody decides they want an open bar. Like, just because we decide we want sod on it, do we want to, I mean, we could certainly make the library pay half of it. I mean, that's our option as the council. So what other things are optional outside of the contract that we might need to talk about the council about having them reimburse us?
I still think they should reimburse the taxpayers of Loganville for the $150,000 of the extra land we gave them. I was not told that we were giving them that land.
how do
Did
you
know we were
reimburse the
giving them that land?
taxpayers? How would you reimburse the taxpayers?
Well, I mean, the library's gonna give back, they're gonna pay their half of the value, or
But
what
I
we
think
paid for
we
the land.
failed to realize this is a city building.
City
own it.
building.
This is
It's gonna
not
be our
somebody other
building.
entity.
We
This
own it.
is your building.
But
This
we
is-
wouldn't be building if it weren't for the library.
Well, what piece of property are you talking about?
The Pecan Street property.
The property behind the
That's
pond.
part of the detention pond cost, isn't it?
Apparently not.
To dig a hole,
grade it,
but you had
yes.
to give them the land so they could dig
Wait
a
minute,
hole.
wait minute.
We didn't give them,
Yeah,
they're paying
we
half.
didn't, deed the land to them.
Right.
That land was already purchased.
Still ours.
But far as the grading of it, yes, it's part of the project.
Okay, that's a hell of a question, Patty. Okay, city attorney, update?
What?
I don't know, we're getting cut off, it's okay.
We're way off subject. City attorney update?
Mayor, I have nothing for y'all tonight.
Very good. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting is now adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for being here.